Right.
In last class, like we had done the demo part where we had seen the introduction of the MDM, like what is MDM, why we need MDM, the architecture of the MDM, and the process flow of the MDM, like how the data will be coming into the MDM, and how it is getting consumed by the downstream systems. So, anyone has any questions in this before like we proceed? Because today we'll be discussing about the table level, like what are the tables we generally create from the MDM side and use it. In more details, we have discussed about those tables, but today a bit more details about those tables. So that's the first part, like the module 1, where we had gone through the introduction. So today, like we will be going through the data model part. So like a customer model. So we will be going through that model, like we have taken two systems into consideration from where we are getting the data, and we need to take the data from both the system, consolidate it, and create a master record. Okay, so we will continue with this. We don't have any questions with the module 2.
Will you send recording of first module, first demo?
Yeah, sure. I will ask them to send you the demo link. So there is like the module 2 where we will be discussing about these things, the data model element, the relationship, how to create the relationship in MDM between different tables, and how to do the lookup. Once the relationship is created, we need to define the lookup between the tables. So these are the three things which are there as a part of module 2. So first we'll start with the data model elements. So for this system, like we have taken two sources here. One is like a CRM system, one is the sales system. So this is like a part of the training module where in the lab these will be the tables and you will have to create those tables. So as of now, these are not the actual tables, these are the source system tables which they are maintaining. So sales system is having a single table, and from a single table what it is maintaining the customer data and the address data. Only two things it is maintaining. And there is a CRM system which is having like more details. They have a customer table, they have an address table, and here we have a customer address. That is, there is a many-to-many relationship between the tables, and they have some additional tables like a category and the subcategory. That customer belongs to a particular category and the subcategory. Plus, there is a note table where they can make some notes about the customer. So these are basically the tables which the CRM system has, and the sales system is maintaining everything in a single table. So these are the source system tables which we have. And now the main purpose is to take the data from both the systems, consolidate it, and create a master record. So here we actually say like customer model, organization model, product model. This is like same thing. There is no difference in that. It's not like we'll be doing any development differently. If you hear some these terms like customer model, organization model, this is based on the what data the company is trying to model. If the company is like dealing with customer data, we can say customer model. If it is like dealing with organization data, it can be said as an organization model. Just the table name will get changed from customer to organization. Similarly, the products. So you might hear different terminologies like customer model, organization model. So everything is same. There is no difference. Yes, it is because the company is maintaining different types of data, or the customer data or the organization data, which it tries to master. That is why there are different names. So this we will be talking about the high level data flow here. We have already talked about it. Now in this slide, basically we will be discussing about the naming conventions that we give to the tables. So like we had discussed, there are three tables: the landing table, staging table, and the final table, which is called as a base object. So what are the naming conventions that we usually give? That we'll be discussing now. So this is the CRM system, and CRM system is the source, and this is my MDM target data model. So it is nearly similar to the CRM system we have created it. So now the first thing is the landing table. So landing table is basically the entry point for data into the MDM. Like we had discussed that this is like loading the data from a particular source system to the landing table is an external job. It is not part of the MDM. So a company has to use some ETL tool to pull the data from a particular source system, and if conversion is required, convert it and then load into the landing table. So usually most of the company uses Power Center itself to pull the data and load that into this landing table. Only thing is that as of now there is no conversion which is happening, no conversion or no transformations we are doing in the Power Center side. It is just pulling extracting the data. If it is not the same type of database, there's conversion and then loading it into our tables. Because MDM can be installed, like we had discussed, MDM can be installed on only three databases: Oracle, DB2 and SQL Server. So the source can be anything. We can convert them and load it into these tables, these databases. So most of the companies uses Oracle itself. That's the most popular database. So here the landing table first. MDM basically all the tables start with C underscore. So that's the general convention they have used, that any table that we are going to create will start with C underscore. So it's not like fixed thing. Whenever we go and create a table from the MDM side, we can change also. We can remove C and we can just put customer instead of C underscore customer. But we leave that as it is, so that all the tables have similar conventions, because even the repository tables that we have, that also starts with C underscore also. And then for the landing table, we generally use like LDG or L to identify that this is a landing table. Then we have the CRM, that is the source system name, and then the base table name, that is the customer table or address table or organization table. Whatever tables we have, at the end there will be a table name. So in MDM, like we create all the tables from the MDM UI itself. So we will not go to the backend and create any table. Tables, these three tables, the landing tables, staging tables, and the base object from the UI part. And in the backend Oracle, it will automatically get created. So for each and every base object that we have, we will be creating the landing tables. And similarly, once the landing is done, then we have to create the staging tables. So staging table convention is also similar. All the tables will start with C underscore. This is STG. We can say that either it is STG or S to identify that this is a staging table. Then the source system name, which is like CRM, and then the table name, that is the category. So that is the staging table name that we generally use here. And now, like, this is one more thing here is about the landing table is when you are going and doing the lab part, it will ask you to create all these tables. Whatever tables name you are seeing here, it will ask you to create all these landing tables. So for every system, it will ask you to create these tables. This is because it will be easy for you to understand this, that by the naming convention like C underscore LDG or L means this is a landing table of CRM system from category source system or category base object or the customer base object. So if you go to the backend, it will be easy to you identify that this is a landing table of which base object and from which source system. So you know that data will be loaded in this particular table. So as of now in the lab, it will ask you to create landing table for each and every source system. So for example, if you have 5 source systems which is providing you customer data, it will ask you to create 5 landing tables. But
so it means that we only should give DDL and create a table.
Yes, table we have to create from the UI part. So usually like DDL means you will be getting a design document where all the things will be mentioned, like what is the table name you need to create, what are the column names, what are the data types, everything will be available. Okay. So based on that, we will just need to configure that into the MDM.
Okay. What about staging? You don't have to create; it will create itself.
No, everything you have to create. We need to
staging
create
also.
all the landing table, staging table, and the base object. 3 types of tables are there. All the 3 tables we need to go and create in MDM file. And in the backend, like if you are using Oracle or SQL Server or DB2, any one of them, backend it will automatically get created. So we don't need to go into backend and create it. So here one thing is like if for example if you are using Oracle, in Oracle the maximum table length is 30 characters. So from the MDM UI you can enter the physical name which can be entered is only 24 characters. So we cannot enter more than 24 characters because it creates like a lot of other tables also, supporting tables. Like we can give a name like customer table. So with customer table, it creates some more 10 tables also, which are the supporting tables. Like if we go and create a base object, it will show you that once we create a base object, we create only one table, but if you go to the backend, we see that 11 tables are created. So those are the supporting tables which are required for the functioning. So that is why those supporting tables will be created some with some extra names. So that's the reason why it reserves these 6 characters. So maximum you can enter only 25. So depending on what is the table name that I want to have, based on that we decide that okay, my table names are smaller, so I will use LDJ. I can use LDJ, or if it is larger, we can use L to say that this is my landing table. Okay, so one minute, let me open this Excel sheet where I can explain you the same thing. Okay, so here we have this Excel sheet where I have mentioned the landing tables. So for example, this first we have I have given the names as like C underscore LDG underscore sales underscore customer or C LDG CRM customer. So this is like as per the lab you will be creating these tables, or we can create only L, because if you don't want a longer name like LDJ, we can just have L to identify that this is a landing table. Now, like as I told, like if for example, like if we have some source, for example, here we have mentioned like 10 sources. There are 10 sources which are providing data to us, and there are some 15 tables like this: customer table, address table. So in this case, we need to create like around 150 landing tables. So there will be a lot of tables in the MDM, and it will be very difficult to handle all those. So here we can do some checks here, means we can reduce the number of tables, especially the landing table we can reduce. How we can reduce is that usually now in the real time we don't create tables like landing tables like this. We don't create landing table based on a source system. Like for CRM system, one table, for sales system, one table, or from other systems. So separately we are not going to create the tables. We create only one table per base object. So if there is a customer table, for a customer table, I will create only one landing table. and like for example I have given a name as CL customer, and I will create one extra column as source system or any column that you create where you can dump the values. So when the ETL team is loading the data, for example, they are pulling the data from a CRM system and loading that into this table, they can just populate this column as CRM, or if they are pulling the data from sales system and loading that into this landing table, they will put sales by default. So only there is one table, one landing table which contains data from all the source system. Whatever systems we have, they will contain the data from every system. So my tables are reduced. If I have 15 tables, 15 main tables or the base objects, I have only 15 landing tables. Similarly for the staging tables, we don't have that option that I can create one staging table for all the source system. Only that can be done for the landing table, not for the staging table. So if you know that there are 10 sources systems and all the source systems are providing you data for all the 15 tables, you will need to create 150 staging tables. So for staging it is mandatory to have the tables, but for landing we can reduce it. And similarly for the base object, this is the convention that we use, C_B or C_BO, to say that this is a base object table. So these are the naming convention that we use, and like how many tables we generally create for the landing table. So landing table is one landing table per base object, and staging table will be according to number of source system. So the more the number of sources are providing the data, those many staging tables I have to create. But you don't have to create, like you can say that if the source is not providing, then also do I need to create? Then you don't need to create. For example, like if we have 10 sources and out of 10 sources, only 6 of them are providing you customer data, then you need to create only 6 staging tables. You don't need to create those 4 extra staging tables.
What is base object table?
Base objects are the final tables which contain the business entities. So data basically actually resides in that only, final table basically.
So that is the gold records?
Yeah, it contains all the golden records.
Okay.
So now we will be discussing more about these tables only. First is the landing table. So landing table that we create, that we will be creating from the MDM side again. So once we create the landing table doesn't have any constraints. Means all the columns are nullable columns. There is no primary key, no foreign key constraints, or no not null constraints in this table. This is done because we want all the source system data which is coming to be loaded into my landing table. There might be some duplicate records or there might be some bad data, that is fine. But first load everything into the table and then let MDM identify that this is a duplicate record or a bad record and reject it. So that's the reason why this landing table is a nullable column. All the columns are nullable. Even though in your base object or the final table it might be a not null column, but here usually we keep everything as a nullable column in the landing table, because we want to load everything and then find it out what is the quality of the data, which is the bad data or good data or duplicate data, and process it accordingly. So once the ETL team loads the data, we check for two things. One is the identifying key for the customer. So from the landing area, the next is the staging area. So in the landing table, we don't have any constraint as such, but when we go to the staging area or the staging tables, there we have a constraint, which is there are two not null columns which are there in that staging area. which is the primary key column and the last update date column. So two columns are mandatory there. So when the ETL team loads the data, we do some validation checks from our side that whatever column I am passing in the primary key or the last update date column which I have here, whether they have some values or not. Because I know that these columns I am passing into the primary key or the last update date column in the staging table. So I will be mapping it. In the mapping, basically I will map the columns, and because those two are not null columns, if these columns don't have any values, the record will get rejected. So primary key, that what column to be used as a primary key, that will be identified by the analyst by looking at the source data. Usually, like whatever primary key the source system uses, we also use the same column as a primary key. Like if they are using customer ID as a primary key, I can use a customer ID as a primary key. Or they might be using customer ID and customer type, for example, two columns as a primary key. So we will also use two columns and pass that into the primary key column. And last update date also, usually like the source system provides us the date, because for example, if I am loading the data today, source system date or this last update date can have values which is like 10 years or 15 years back data, because I am loading the source data and source might have inserted a customer record 10 years or 15 years back. So usually all the source system maintains the data. There are some exceptional cases where the source system might say that we don't maintain any date column. Probably they are maintaining a CSV file system format and data is there present in the CSV files and they don't have any date column in that. So in that case, we know that it's fine that they are not maintaining, that's fine. But we know that in MDM side, we need to populate the last update date. So in those cases, whenever the ETL team loads the data, we say that populate it with a sysdate column. So by default, whenever they are loading, they will populate this last update date with a sysdate column. So the same things that we had discussed here, delivery point for the source data. So the source data has to be loaded into the landing table before we can process that into the MDM. No constraints or referential integrity. There is no constraint or no referential integrity which is there in this table, and must be able to provide at least two values. So at least whatever there is the primary key column, PK source object column, and the last update date column, we know that that's a not null column in the next stage, that is the staging table. So just verify it once the data is loaded. So usually we don't expect any null to be there, and it is usually not there, but just it's good to verify from our side in case we don't know something comes wrongly. Then it's better to check it before loading and it gets rejected, and then we verify checking with the business people that why this you have sent us a duplicate record or a bad data which got rejected. So in case we have something like this, any bad data, we can at least check it from our side, report it to the business, rectify them, reload the data back again, and then process it into the MDM side. And similarly populated by the ETL SQL or the file loader. So the company can use any tool basically. Usually they use Power Center to load the data, but that is not a mandatory one. They can use any internal tool also to load the data. Or if it is like MDM is in Oracle and the other source system is also Oracle, then in that case they can use like the DB-Link also or the SQL loader to pull the data and load that into the tables. So anyway they can do, that is on them, like on the business basically how they want to pull the data and load into the landing table. So that's not part of the MDM process. Once it is loaded, then only we start the processing. And duplicate keys in the landing will be rejected during the stage process. So as I told, like in the staging table, we have not discussed about the staging table. We will be discussing next. So in the staging table, as I told, like there is a primary key column. So if there are duplicate entries in the landing table, like for example, customer ID 1 is present 2 times, then one of the record will get rejected. So that's basically duplicate keys in the landing will be rejected during the stage process. So that was about the landing table. Any questions in this landing table?
We're fine.
Hi George, do you have any question?
No, fine. We're fine. We're fine.
Okay, okay, thanks. So now the base objects are basically the final tables which contain all the business entities or the master data. So now whenever we go and create a base object, with that base object, so let me first go to the MDM and just show you that, then we'll come here and discuss. So this is the place basically the schemas. This is the MDM console. So this is the place where we will go and create any base object. So if we create any base object, with this base object, when we go to the columns, we see that there is a row ID object value which is present. So any base object that we create will have this row ID object value. So this is a system value and it is like a character 14. There are other system columns also gets created. If you click on the above, there is a option of show system columns. If you click on this, it will show me all the system columns which gets created automatically whenever you go and create a base object. But row ID object is visible because row ID object is an important column here. It is a unique column and this column is populated through a sequence number. So as of now, like we are using 10.1 version of MDM, so I cannot go and see the sequences now. If you say that can I see the sequences, no, we cannot see the sequences. But if you are using an older version of MDM like 951 and previous version, in that case you can like go to the SQL, open the SQL developer and you can go to the sequences. You can check the sequence name, what is the sequence name, what is the sequence value, current value, next value, everything you can check. But now you cannot check it. In the from 961 version onwards, it has been changed. They have moved it into the tool itself. It is a part of tool. So this row ID objects get generated automatically. We don't populate this column. I have created these two columns, ID and name. So I will be populating only these two columns and MDM will automatically populate this row ID object column using a sequence number. So this is row ID object is basically a unique column which will be present in all the objects that we are creating. All the base objects that we create, every base object will have a row ID object and they will be generated by a sequence number. So here the same thing is that every base object that we create will have the row ID object values and these are the business columns that we are going to create according as per the part of lab. So here we have the same thing like base object basically models the key business entities and provides functionality for matching and merging the data. So once the data is loaded into the base object, then only we do all the matching and merging activity. So before the base object, like first is the landing table where the ETL team is loading the data. Then we have the staging area where the data is cleansed. So only the cleansing activity happens during the staging process. And after doing that, we load the data in my base object, and then all the process other things happens at the base object level. Built-in lineage or cross-reference. This cross-reference we are going to discuss next. And history information. So history information and the lineage that is changes to a data is being maintained. And supports trust and validation rule. So we had discussed a bit of trust and validation rule in the introduction part. So that trust and validation rule is basically maintained at the base object level itself. So everything happens at the base object level only. Only the cleansing activity happens at the staging table level. So this slide is again similar, like here we have just mentioned two tables like customer table and the address table. And you might hear this name, this is very rarely you might hear, like MRM, that is the master reference manager. So that's the internal manager which manages all these population of the ROID object values and other things. So usually this is a rare, not a common term which you will be hearing, but it's good to know that there is a MRM server which is an inbuilt part which maintains all these information and maintains population of the ROID object. So for every base object that we create, we'll have a ROID object and separate sequence number will be there for each one of them.
What is that? Master reference manager?
Yes, correctly. It's a master reference manager.
So can we do a resetting of the thing, or we cannot do resetting on the start?
Resetting, yes. For example, there are options where, for example, if you want to truncate the table, you can reset the sequences. But if you are not truncating your table, you say that I am deleting some records and I want to make the sequences a little bit back. That I cannot do.
Okay.
That option is not there. Only option is that we can, if you are truncating a table, I have an option to reset the sequence from 1. That is what we can do. So this is not important as such, because this is not part, this is like important for a developer perspective, because by looking at this sequence number, it is easy for a developer to identify the record. So this is not a business column. It is not important for the business. It is important for the developer perspective. So any number can be present here. That's not important as such.
Okay. Okay.
So next, like, we will be discussing about the important, just now we saw there is a cross reference or lineage. So next we will be discussing about this table, which is the cross reference table. So whenever we go and create a table, like we will go and create, as I told, like I will be creating only a single table like C_customer, but internally MDM creates 10 more tables in the backend. So totally some 11 tables will get created. So out of those 11 tables, this is an important table which is called as a cross reference table. So if I am creating a table named as C_customer, then automatically this table will get created as _xref. So that is why I told that there is a restriction from the MDM side that I can enter the physical name only 24 characters, because internally it has to create these tables. So it needs some extra spaces, 5 to 6 characters. It reserves for itself. Now here we have some values here, which we'll see like what are the values. First is the ROID system. So ROID system is basically contains the system name. Like if we are loading the data from a CRM system, it will have values as CRM. If we are loading the data from sales system, it will have values as sales system. So one minute, let me open the mapping here. It will be more clear. I can show you side by side. Mapping is not, we have not discussed here. That's the next module, basically the third module. It is a part of that. But here as of now, I will just show you how the data is flowing here. Okay, so here you see that the first column is row ID system. Okay, I will take some other. So in this case, like row ID system will contain which value? Row ID will contain this value. Like here, if you see this on the left hand side, we have a landing table, and on the right hand side, whatever we see, this is a staging table. So in the staging table, we have this PK source object, which I told that it's a mandatory column, and the last update date. These are the two important columns. So whatever value I am passing in the PK source object column, I might be passing a single column, or I might be concatenating more than one column and passing that into the primary key. So whatever primary key PK source object column I pass, that value is stored in the PK source object in the cross reference table. So this is referred as a XREF table or a cross reference table. Both of them we can hear. Common we say as a cross reference. That's a common term that we'll be talking about. So row ID system value and the PK source object value, both of them comes from a staging table, because we are loading in this way: first landing to staging, staging to base object. So when we are loading the data from staging to the base object, at that time this PK source object value and whatever is the staging table source system. So this is staging table like belongs to a CRM system.
Vinay, small question.
Yes,
can you just define what is cross-reference table?
Yeah, cross-reference table is basically an associated table or a supporting table of a base object. So base objects are the final table which contain all the business entities or the master data. So when you go in,
a cross-reference table, or the MDM itself will create?
Yeah, MDM will create. So I will go and create one table like C_customer, but in the backend it creates some 10 more tables automatically.
Okay.
So out of those 10 tables, this is an important table which is called as a cross-reference.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just open the SQL developer also and show you the tables, what are the tables it is getting created. So these two values are populated from the staging table, and one more table column, that is, if you see at the last one, that is SRC LUD. SRC LUD is called as a source last update date. So this column SRC LUD gets populated from here. We have a last update date column. So from the last update date column, this column gets populated. So three values, this row ID system, PK source object, and the SRC LUD, which is called as a source last update. These three values come from the staging table into the cross reference table. So they are not stored at the base object table. It is not stored at like base object, customer base object. It is stored at the cross reference table. And the other two value is like we have a row ID object. So row ID object is a foreign key column, because in my customer table I have a row ID object which is a unique column. So the same value gets populated here. So row ID object is a foreign key in my cross reference table. And the last column is a last update date. So last update date is the date when the record was last inserted or updated into the cross reference table. So there is a difference between this. Probably you might have understood what is the difference between last update date and the source last update date. Last update date is the system date when the record was inserted or modified in the MDM. So if I am loading the data today, I will have today's date into the last update date. But SRC LUD date is the source date, which is coming from a landing table, and this can be a backdated date, 10 years or 15 years back date.
So every row in the customer C_customer base object table will have a row in cross reference table.
Yes, correct. If whatever rows will be present in the customer base object table will be there in the cross reference table.
Okay.
What about this last update date that is in a base table?
In the base object, again, the last update date will be the date when the record was inserted or updated into the base object table.
Okay, but it's not the update date of the source record?
No, source, whatever the updated source record is maintained at only at the cross-reference level. So it is maintained in this column, SRC LUD date. So by looking at this column, we know that when the source system record was last inserted or updated in their system.
Okay, so if that's the one that if it exists, it will come from source, but if it doesn't exist, we just put the system date there, right?
Yes, correct. So whenever ETL team loads the data, we say that you populate that with a sysdate column in the landing table. Because we know that if there is no data in the last update date, all the records will get rejected when we load the data from landing table to the staging table, because it's being a not null column.
If we are running this like every day, for example, right? And we are reading the same record from source system. Now,
yes.
landing table we are refreshing, right? So we wiping out and we are putting the new data in.
Yes. We are putting the new data, correct.
Right, but then when we go to staging table, I think you said that we are we need to determine.
In the staging, we are see, this is my mapping. I will just expand it. So here in the mapping, you see the last update date from the landing table. I am mapping into the last update date of the staging table. So, and from the staging table, this date comes into the SRC LUD date column, which is there in the cross-reference table. So source date is always maintained, because tomorrow the source might update some column and they might send us. So in that case, this date will get updated. Okay. This column has some advantages at the later stage also that we'll discuss. But as of now, this is the source date. Whatever date the source system is providing, I will just insert and keep it as a reference here in my cross-reference table.
I'm still a little bit confused. On the left side, this landing table, right? Landing real customer address table.
Yes, correct. That's the landing table, and on the right-hand side, we have the staging table here.
And the right side is staging table. Okay, so yes. whatever comes to the landing table, that comes from the source.
Yes, correct.
So in the source, we have this column, last update date. So it means correct. It came from the source.
Yes, correct.
Right? So now this line comes to the staging table.
Yes,
so it looks like this date is populated in the staging table. And you also correct. Say that at the same time, this date will go to cross-reference table?
Yes, correct. So now, once you have run the job, it will copy the last update date from the landing table into the staging table, last update date.
Right.
Next, when you load the data from your staging table to the base object table, that is the customer table, in that case, this date will go and get populated in this column, SRC LUD date. It will not go into the last update date column. It will go into the SRC LUD date column, source last update date. So that is the column which is maintained to know that what data date we have got from the source.
Okay. It's so cross-reference. This is for base table. Okay.
Yes, this is a base object cross-reference, like customer table. So this is cross-reference of the customer.
Okay. Okay. So now coming back to my previous question. So if we do have a date coming from source.
Yes.
And we are running this every day. So let's say there was an update on an address.
Yes.
Then update date will change, right? So something changed with the address.
Where it is changing? Your update is happening at the MDM level or at the source system level?
No, on the source system.
Okay. So any change that happens at the source system level will come to MDM as an update. So in the update, this, for example, I have loaded the source data till yesterday, and today there was an update in the source system. Some column got changed. the address column got changed, so they have sent the data back to us. So in this case, probably this source system, as of now, whatever data was there, maybe 1 year back data it was, but because the source system has updated it today, the date has changed in their system also.
Right.
So the same date will come here and update it. So now previously it was 1 year back date, now it will get updated with today's date.
Okay. Now my follow-up question is, what happens if the source system does not have the last update date?
Yeah, in that case,
in this case, we are replacing this date with a system date. So we.
Yes, correct. So every time the source system sends, then it will be like a system date only. So then at that time, yes, the last update date and the source last update date will be nearly same.
How do we know that there was a change?
Because they are sending us the data, so they know basically the source system that these records are inserted. So they will be pulling the data and sending to us. So that's not part of the MDM part. MDM is like once the data is loaded, then we start processing. So that is their part of that is the source system part. How to identify if they don't have any date column. Usually we pull the data based on a date, but if there is no date, they need to identify that what are the records which are new records, what are the new records which have changed, and send them those records to the MDM. So that's the source system responsibility.
Okay, so some kind of change data capture.
Yeah, something they have to maintain.
Should be done before it gets into MDM, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So that they have to do something from their side so they can identify which records are new or which are the changed records. Then only they can send, otherwise it's very difficult. Something should be there, some identification.
I think in the first session you were showing some examples like the numbers in a spreadsheet, showing what happens if we refresh the landing table and what happens when we don't refresh. Is it correct?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct. So that was we were discussing about the PRL table and the raw table. Those two tables we discussed. So which are basically tables which are associated with a staging table. So we'll see that once we go through the base object, I will cover that again.
Okay.
The PRL table and the raw table.
Okay.
And one more thing, one question. So suppose we are getting daily loads from the source system. So,
yes.
So you told that we have to truncate the landing table.
Yeah, usually we truncate the landing table.
What about staging? Staging also is truncated, or?
Yeah, staging is by default truncated. So we don't have any option there that truncate or not truncate. It is by default truncate. Okay. It always truncate the table, and then from the staging it appends all the data to the base object table.
So from staging, when it goes to the base object, it will determine whether it's an insert or an update?
Yeah. So that is what I am going to discuss next, like how does it identifies whether it is an insert and update. So it identifies the insert and update and process it accordingly.
Okay.
Hello, Vinay. I have a question about row ID.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, how it will maintain row ID between the parent and the child table? So each table will have the row ID, right? So how it will maintain the relationship between parent and child tables? Can you please explain that?
The row ID is basically different. For every table, the row ID is different. So like for example, customer table, there is a row ID object. Address table, there is a row ID object. So as we say the parent and child, this is just a normal ER model where customer is a parent and your address is a child table. So first thing is the loading the parent table. So once we load the parent table, for example, we loaded some 5 records into my customer table. So this customer row ID object will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once the parent table is loaded, you will be loading the child table. So when we load the child table, that is the address, we need to tell that this address belongs to which customer. So at that time, we will be passing some values which will know that it belongs to that particular. Like in the normal, if you are loading up for this child table, you pass the prime in the foreign key column, you pass the primary key. So for example, on the down here, you can see there is a customer row ID. So as of now, if I have to tell you, I will just say that you will be passing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it knows that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is present at the parent table level. So all the records will get inserted.
Okay.
This answered your question, or I told something else?
Yeah, still
So that's
address table also will have.
Yeah, address table will have a separate row, means it will be populated by a separate sequence number. So if you are loading 5 records in the address, there also you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you are loading 5 customer record, there also you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So both of them will have 5 records. So row ID object will be 1 to 5 and 1 to 5. And here in this column, the customer row ID column, which is a foreign key column, in this we will be populating that this address belongs to which customer. So based on whatever value I pass, in this I will be passing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it knows that this, the first address belongs to which customer.
Okay.
Are those row IDs are generated by MDM? That's what we generate?
Yes, row ID objects are generated by MDM using a sequence number.
Okay, but what do we do with the natural keys that came from the source system? Like, do we ignore them, or?
No, see, it is based on the source system only. So that we'll be discussing, like when we go to the lookup part, it will be more clear that how the, because this relationship that I have created, this is like a one-to-many relationship between the customer and the address. So this I have created based on looking at the source data. That source data is maintaining like one-to-one relationship or one-to-many relationship. So based on that, only this model is created. So we will be pulling the data separately. We will be pulling the customer data separately. We will be loading the address data separately. So it will make it more clear. Like once we go through this model, like relationship and the lookup, those are the next two parts. In that case, I will be loading the data from the landing table, and I will show you how the process is happening. So it will be more clear to you.
Yeah, that's good. It's just I'm following up on the same question about this relationship. So if we are loading the parent first, and we are assigning those row IDs to
no, we don't assign the row ID, because as of now I just tell about the row ID. There is a different approach that we follow in MDM. So we don't pass the row ID object. We pass some different value which converts it into row ID object. So that's a different concept here. So that is what I told that. I will tell you this scenario means that is basically part of the lookup process. So we will discuss that lookup process, and then I will load the data. I will create the tables. I will load the data, and I will show you. So that process will be clear to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So today, like we'll just quickly go through this part, as I was telling that how MDM identifies that an incoming record is a new record, or it is an update which is coming for an existing record. So I will take this so I'll just explain you using this as of now through the Excel. So this is my cross-reference table, and in my cross-reference table I have these records. So 3 records are present in my cross-reference table. The first 2 records are from the CRM system, and the one record is from the sales system. So I have here 3 columns: row ID, system, PK source object, that is the primary key, and there is a base business column which is customer name. So I have loaded, initially I have loaded 3 records into my table. Now from the staging I am trying to load 2 new records. So what I am saying is row ID system is CRM, PK source object that I am passing is cust1. So what it does is whenever I load the data, MDM will go and check into the tables that. So whenever you load the data, MDM compares the staging table against the cross-reference table. MDM never compares the staging table against the base object table. MDM compares the staging table against the cross-reference table. So there we have these values, row ID system and the PK source object. So it will check whether for CRM system, whether PK source object CUST1 is there or not. So here it is able to find that yes, for CRM, cust ID 1 is present. So what it will do, it will just go and update it with XYZ. So this is an insert. The first record is this is an update. So it has just updated the record. Now the second one, I am again loading a data from CRM system and the primary key is CUST3. So this combination it is not able to find in my cross-reference table. So this is like an insert. If it is not able to find this combination, it is like an insert. So it will go and insert one more record into these tables. It will say CRM cust3 and here it will put XYZ. What is the business data that we are sending? So this is the two columns. So that is why the XREF table is very important, because based on the XREF table only MDM identifies whether an incoming record is a new record or it is an update which is coming for an existing record, and then process the data accordingly. Any questions on this? How inserts or updates are happening?
The staging table, how did you get the PK source object?
In the staging table, we had that PK source object. Here, if you remember, this is the 1 minute. Let me open the mapping again. So this is my mapping, and on the right hand side you can see this is my staging table. So in the staging table I have a PK source object. So the first column is the PK source object. So this column, whatever value I am passing here from landing table, this will be compared against the PK source object column which is there in the cross reference table.
Okay, so it is the primary key from the source.
Yes.
Okay.
And the row ID system value again comes from staging table only, because we will be discussing about that. So on the top you can see CRM is there. So this staging table belongs to the CRM system. So as I discussed in the cross reference, row ID system, PK source object and the SRC LUD date, 3 values gets populated from the staging table.
Okay, one second. What is the third one? 1, 2, 3. PK source object. One is last update date.
No, source last update date, SRC LUD date. Yeah, okay. It means this column last update date will go into the SRC LUD date in the cross reference table.
Okay, what is the other one, third one?
And this the system name will go into the row ID system value.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
So that was about the 5 columns, important columns that we have in the cross reference table, which is associated with the base object. And let me quickly just open this SQL developer. I'll just show you again the tables. So for example, this one, let me open. So here you can see that there is a test BO, C underscore test BO that I had created. So this is the base object that I have created from the front end, MDM console. And with this, I have like these many tables created. So 10 tables are created here. So these 10 tables will get created automatically once I go and create a base object. So as of now, we had discussed about the cross reference table which is associated with a base object. So this is the table. Whatever my base object name is there, just underscore XREF gets appended to that. So that's a cross reference. So in this table only we discuss like 5 important columns. Okay, so we have discussed about today the landing table and the base object table in a bit detail. So next, like we will be discussing about the staging table tomorrow. What is the staging table? Like we already know, like the staging table, that important columns. So some other things about the staging table we will be discussing tomorrow.
Will you get the slides?
Yes, everything is shared.
Okay. And when will be getting that access to do practicals?
Yeah, that anytime you can just check with the tech class. It doesn't take much time. It takes only 15-20 minutes to set up the VPN access on your system.
Okay.
So once it is set up, you can directly access and use it.
So when like our labs will start? Like when?
As of now, I will not say the labs to start. Probably after 2-3 days only.
Okay.
Because first I am covering this module 2. So once I cover this module 2 and I show you practically how to do the things, creating the tables, creating the relationship, the lookup part, then only I will ask you to go and start the lab. So probably 2 to 3 days more.
Okay.
After that only you can start. So there is no hurry as such.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is it possible to have multiple landing tables for one source system?
Usually you can create it, but there is no point of creating multiple landing table. Like for customer based object, there is no point of creating multiple landing. We use like as a convention, if you were there in the class initially, that as part of the lab you will be creating one landing table. One landing table for CRM system, means source system wise. If you have a CRM system and sales system, you will be creating one landing table for CRM, one landing table for staging table for the CRM. But nowadays in the real time we don't create it like this, because at least if there are, because usually if there are some MDM solutions which are using like lot of system, 10 systems or 15 systems are there, then we will have to create those many landing tables. So we want to avoid that part, because it becomes very complicated in the MDM side that so many tables are there. So just to reduce the number of tables, we create only one table. But there is no problem as such. If you want to create, you can create multiple landing tables for a source system, but that will be not useful. Okay. Because you will be loading all the data only in a single table.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, thanks everyone. Then we will meet up tomorrow again same time and continue with this module 2. Okay, thanks. Bye.